My bad. I had to take the overlay off.
Nah, you good. Morning.
Good morning. What's happening?
Chilling. I was trying to see if there was a way. Well, we'll see. We're gonna experiment with the background today. But oh, how you doing, Gigi?
Cooler, man. How you feeling?
Okay. Wondering where our co-host is. She let it call us out. We got her. Got a reminder. How y'all doing in the chat? Peace. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Uh, free the land, absolutely.
Amber, might be reading books with her book reading.
Mystery man.
Her book reading brother. She might be. That's what she might be doing.
Study this morning, first thing in the morning. That's great. Well, we hope Amber's okay. But yeah, I know. What?
But she had no call, she had no text, no show.
Okay. We'll see. It might be something. I hope Amber's doing well. But we got a great show for y'all. Friday remix, Lorik and Geechee. And we got plenty of stories lined up. As always, our boy Josh laced us with some great check-in questions. Lots of interesting news for us to follow. So let's just hop right into it. So the first one, this is interesting. Josh trying to make us tell on ourselves here. But it looks like his question is, do you consider self-medication an integral part of self-care, or is it all just cope? That's an interesting one. So I'm assuming self-medication is recreational drug use. And do we consider that a part of self-care or cope? What is self-care in this society or cope? That's a hard line to draw when we're always dealing with this world, trauma, stress, things like that. I guess self-care implies that it's more routine and healthy than coping, but I always hear this unhealthy and healthy coping mechanisms. So I wonder about that. What do you think about this question, Gigi?
I think the question is loaded, and it's almost like, and not even in a way to be caught up for real, because more so in just how we frame things and what things supposed to mean, right? So like if even when you say, well, self medication, you're like, well, I guess they mean this, and so yeah, I guess I'm at the point where even with I guess what they call adaptogenics, the mushrooms, the ashwagandhas, and all this other stuff, like, and again, it's this conversation around class, like who gets to determine what could be controlled to call it medicine, and then versus with drugs. So again, that's what the question has, all those things, and then I don't even know how to respond to that initially. And then back to maybe I think the line that you was making in terms of coping, like I don't know if you ever gonna be in a situation where you're not responding to a situation. And I think again, the word cope could, like, it can mean avoidance of real conditions, right? And or feeling better versus being better. Like one would argue that, right? And I don't know. I just think it. I know we on this politicized channel, but I think of like the Marx quote and the Marx argument around religion being the opiate of the masses and how people read it versus how it's saying. And then when Lenin kind of cleaned it up, and I got the quote, when Lenin cleaned it up with his version, it almost sounds like it can be, like it can't, like it could. Well, not can be, but doing it in two ways. Like opium can numb pain for you while you still get the work, or help you, deal with something. Versus it also can like destabilize you from actually doing the work, and that's kind of what we are talking about. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think this person was well, Josh was being pretty clear because of the emojis that we see in there. What was being referred to. I like this quote. I think you highlighted it, comrade Dante Ture. Shout out my Miami comrade. Knowledge of self must inform self medication. I think that makes a lot of sense. Same way with coping, right? What are you dealing with? I would love if you could find the Lenin quote because yeah, I do appreciate. I think he had a cleaner version of it.
yeah.
But I agree. I think you do have to kind of know yourself. You also have to be able to balance what it is that you're dealing with in life. Recognize that there are, everything in moderation, right? Side effects, health detriments if you overuse certain things. But I think on their own, we all can work through responsibly ways of relaxing, dealing with stress and anxiety. Um, but again, ideally, we would have access to trusted healthcare professionals, and we know that this healthcare system is very broken for a lot of reasons. So that's why people have to look into alternative medicine, have to try and self treat in so many ways. So,
Mhm. So I think the other tricky part of this question is like what audience are you answering it for? Like all of us have like all of us on this platform, but we also have family members. We have people in like different cities where the conversation is going to be different when you're talking different. Like, so for instance, like your cousin might be like, "This is my medicine," and he might engage with medicine, and politically, it's really him, as you would say, coping. Like he ain't really he really escaping dealing with a whole lot of whatever stuff, and then but in his mind, he's using that as medicine, and you would argue that no, you're actually using it as not whatever. And then
mhm.
you got another cousin who stay what you call high or whatever, and they're able to achieve a lot. They've accomplished a lot or whatever, and you would say it helps them calm down and do whatever. So again, I think between it being a drug that's or something like a religion or opiate of the masses that either stop you from doing something or numbs your pain as a response to something really happening to you while you work on, I guess, solving the issue, whatever. So when I read Lennon here, it I guess it's in response later on to um, not a response, but an add-on to a further theorizing
On the opium of the masses quote.
masses.
Where is this from? It's a lot. It's a lot. Hold on. Trying to keep track. What Lenin writing is this?
This is religion. Socialism and religion.
Oh wow! I'm amazed of all my Lenin writings. I've never read that. That's crazy. Okay, that's okay. Go ahead. Sorry with the quote.
So no. So I'm gonna start here. So our program is based entirely on the scientific and moreover materialist world outlook. An explanation of our program therefore necessarily includes an explanation of the true historical and economic roots of the religious fog. Our propaganda necessarily includes the propaganda of atheism, the publication of the appropriate scientific literature, with the autocratic feudal government has hereunto strictly forbidden the persecuted must now form one of the fields of our party work. We shall now probably have to follow the advice of Engels once gave to the German socialists to translate a widely disseminated the literature of the 18th century French enlighteners and atheists. And so this part is where it kind of gets to a point that I'm going to get. But under no circumstances, circumstances out, we to fall into the error of posing the religious question in abstract, idealistic fashion as an intellectual question unconnected with the class struggle, as it not infrequently done by the radical Democrats from among the bourgeoisie. It would be stupid to think that in a society based on the endless oppression and coercing of the working masses, religious prejudice could be dispelled by purely propaganda methods. It would be bourgeois narrow mindedness to forget that the yoke of religion that weighs upon mankind is merely a product and a reflection of the economic yoke within society. No number of pamphlets and no amount of preaching can enlighten the proletariat if it is not enlightened by its own struggle against the dark forces of capitalism. Last line, unity in this reality, really revolutionary struggle of the oppressed class for the creation of a paradise on earth is more important to us than unity of proletarian opinions on paradise in heaven. So again, this person is using this religion or this opiate or this drug or whatever. If they're engaged in helping you materially create the paradise you say that you want here on earth, why would you spend time about arguing about your liberal or regenerative logics around a word that you don't really understood or like so
I'm not as quick as Jared, but I have to sum.
Now listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
Yo, that was That's why Lennon's one of my favorite writers. That shit was amazing. Um, okay, so yeah, I agree. Obviously, build paradise on earth. There are a lot of more materialist framings like that. Frederick Douglass said, "Pray with your legs." Like I used to pray, but only when I prayed with my legs was I able to escape slavery. So, yeah, I plan to continue the Black Atheist Tradition series with Jared. And so, what we're going to read next time is chapter 22 called Raising Consciousness from Huey Newton's Revolutionary Suicide. And it's just amazing how, similar it sounds essentially to this kind of thing. And I agree. There's that kind of bourgeois opinion that, oh, you don't really have to engage, or it's just people's personal beliefs and thoughts and feelings. And we just know that's not true. But I will say, and sorry, yes, I probably messed up on the link because I think I put the stuff too close together, but hopefully this works now.
oh, yeah.
But I know this was not necessarily a conversation about religion, but the discussion of opium and coping and things like that. Yeah, I agree. We have to be dialectical, think about our internal selves, our emotional state, our mental state, and then also our physical state. So I think about holistic health in a lot of ways. So, what are your mechanisms for self care? Are they just these things? Is it just smoking and using shrooms? Or do you combine that with exercise, with meditation and breath work, as It's Art with Words says, things like that, right? That's more what I'm interested in. And then personally, I do worry about dependence on substances, right? But there's a difference between medication, which you need to survive. For example, those of us with diabetes would need insulin. That's not something you can just manufacture your way out of, right? Like you actually do require that medicine. Whereas when we're talking about self-medication, with these things, it's not so clear it's a need for everybody. But I was interested. I know you have someone start, and also bringing up this brother, actually a brother from Miami, who was a professor, I believe at Columbia. Your boy Nard has interviewed him before and was acting a fool the entire interview and refused to listen. But it was a very interesting interview if you ignore him the entire time and listen to Dr. Hart. But Carl Hart is an American psychologist and neuroscientist who's a Clark Professor of Psychology and Psychiatry at Columbia. He's known for his research on drug abuse and drug addiction, his advocacy for the legalization of recreational drugs, and his recreational drug use. Hart became the second tenured African American professor of sciences at Columbia University and authored 2 books. One of these books is where he talks about his own use of drugs, and these would be quote unquote hard drugs like heroin and things like that. And then a more popular facing book, Drug Use for Grownups, Chasing Liberty in the Land of Fear. And so I've seen some of his interviews and research. I think they're pretty fascinating stuff. And yeah, I would definitely recommend people look into that if they're interested in this topic. But I know you have good politics start, so.
Yeah, there's a couple things. Yeah. So again, there's maybe this the conversation we was talking about around femicide and other things as it relates to patriarchy. And sometimes one of the things that I'm learning over the this time of like just stopping and listening instead of trying to respond so quickly. Because sometimes when you listen, not only would you hear everything or hear more that was said and hear our argument and where it come from, you got a possibility to listen good enough and realize that, oh shit, we might not be having the same conversation, or like you responding to like. So yeah, I think sometimes when we're having these conversations online, like I don't know if everybody believe like, oh well, you could be an organizer on here, you saying this about, or this is organizing, or what I'm doing here. And yeah, I just feel like sometimes even so, here's an example. Me and Jared, I think, talked about this on, it might have been the EYL show, I don't remember, but when we read that part, when he highlighted everything except that last part, right? And again, I don't know if it's because organizing or whatever, or it's because of way my life path. Like that part made more sense to me as it relates to what we all talking about, trying to get this shit done. Like we trying to get free or whatever. It made more sense to be like, oh, you have to have a method of, right, look, if I can materially measure you doing the things that I conclude can lead to this particular this particular aim, like I'm just really not that hung up on how you got here and all this other shit like that. So yeah, but I don't know, I just think all of us read things and then we can, and I think that's why it's important to study in group. We can kind of like read the same thing and get multiple different things that can kind of contribute to the larger objective. So
I read it similar. Our co-host has joined us. Let's see. Sorry, I wanted to. Let's see. Mess with our backgrounds a little bit today to see if it affects my freezing at all. Sorry, y'all, but just wanted to try it. So, yeah, I hear that. I do think how I always say, show your work. So when I would help students with math, right, and they would give me an answer, and 2 students might have the same answer, but I'd be like, show me how you got there. And one of them can show their work and the other one was just kind of guessing, or not guessing, but made an important mistake that got them the right answer by accident, or discovered a new method or an alternative method for arriving at the same answer. And so I actually am interested in the process by which people arrive at a specific answer. I think that's important because it can show limitations. And I think that's very similar to the last Black Atheism conversation I had with Jared and your doctor on MLK Day, where MLK was kind of approaching this question from the opposite side. So Lenin is very clearly taking a stance on atheism, but Dr. King was taking a stance against communism as atheistic by saying Christianity. But both of them arrive at the same conclusion, which is that you have to actually provide for people here on Earth and with their material conditions in the here and now. So Dr. King's point about communism, like, look, America claims it's a Christian nation. I'm a Christian. I work with, that within that ideology and that framework. And my goal is to eradicate poverty. And if we don't get it together and communism does a better job of eradicating poverty, then we're going to have a problem here. So I actually appreciate that Lenin and King dialectically are arriving at the same conclusion. But then I do question the pathway that King is using to arrive at it versus Lenin's. But
so here's and we can welcome in Amber, but so here's one response I would say, right? Mm-hmm. Even as you said that, right? You said, well, I do want to know the pathway people take here so I can maybe assess their limitations, right? So when you say that, you also should be acknowledging that you're saying that I think they have limitations based off of my analysis versus what I think them to be. And they might feel the exact same way about you. They might be like, and you're not gonna really know it. You're not gonna really know until your limitations get exposed, right? So for instance, you might think, oh well, I got get you on his limitation. Like he believed this, so his limitations, and then maybe 10 years from now, you actually find out that you actually was the one with the limitations, and because you evolve in your thinking. So I think that's why, again, it leads to a conversation. Is like we talking about paradise on heaven, right? Mm-hmm. We talking about that. That's unimportant, but we also can look each other in the eye and say, "This is what a paradise look like here," and your actions and your behaviors, the way you're showing up, is actively building that or not, committed to it or not. So I think when we get caught in these conversations, we'll start to use words and just, I don't know. I don't know that we we could possibly be wrong sometimes when we use words. We'll be like, oh, you limited, whatever. So that's kind of why I'm saying is like you're gonna be in that argument. Y'all gonna be like fighting most of the time over there.
Yeah. I got my material critiques of King though. I think we've seen through history how he had those certain limitations, but I also accept that. I accept that I have my own. Lenin has his own, right? That's the whole point of his framework, is that I am subjective. I don't claim that I'm perfect in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I definitely agree in general. And let's welcome to the stage, of course, our co-host, Amber. Happy to have you here.
Hi guys.
Traveling. Okay. We understand. We understand that jet lag.
You niggas didn't call me or nothing.
Hey, Amber, religious and high at the same time. So what's up, man?
You're so stupid. Bruh, get you sent a text message. It was like, where are you, sis? Nobody called or anything.
Well, we were on air. What you mean? He'll call you on air. What's up?
Man, you don't mute yourself and call me.
That's like nephew Tommy. We should have prank called you. Dang.
It's not funny.
Yeah, we should do a prank. Yo, can we do a prank call?
Hilarious.
Can we do a live
radio show so bad? Hey, Sugar Shan.
No, I think we should do a live prank call, yo.
We do need power. We need more effects.
So listen. This is why I asked that question around prank. Because I think I just learned, but I don't know if y'all have to correct me. Do you know the black dude on social media? He have those long OSHA, OEAU or whatever, and he always walk into the thing and say like your office is in violation and you've done this thing or whatever. Have y'all seen that guy yet?
Yeah, he hasn't been doing the videos in a while. That shit was funny too.
But this is what I'm hearing. I don't know if it's true, and I got to verify, so I'm gonna look at it. I'm hearing that these are real complaints from workers that they filed to him online, and so when he go up to the business, the complaints he has is real complaints from the workers.
Oh, wow.
And the people in there, the reason why they let him in because they know who he is. Like you, it's not a skit. You think it's a skit, but it's not really a skit. And so
No, they're real complaints. He posted like a link you can submit
Yeah.
to.
So I didn't know this. So I didn't know this much about him, but so he might say like something about the manager and the manager whatever, and even the manager personal life, because again the worker is the one who's doing the complaint, and so like I'm like, wait, this like I'm what I'm told by it again. I gotta verify. I'm like, oh well, that would be a that would
That's a
be
great prank.
interesting. Yeah, like but I don't know if it's a prank though. So I don't know if it's I don't know if it's really a prank. Like I don't know if
Well, yeah, I think it is. I just think it's one of those. We're going to get into comedy, and we'll start with some news about the thumbnail. People ask us about the thumbnail, but this stuff is relevant. But I do think it's a prank. I just think it's
Wait, what's the thumbnail?
It's Drewski. See, we gotta check ahead because your doctor be lacing us with some good stories. But I do think it's a prank. I just think it's one that actually gets at power, right? So that's why it's a prank with a risk. All these other pranks are for views, and they also take risks, but it's always at our expense when they're punching down. So it's so many common prank content on YouTube, which is went to play basketball in the hood. Person pretends to do this in the hood, and it's just literally just terrorizing everyday Black folk and calling it a prank and saying it's funny. I've seen one prank that I guess it's funny. I don't know if y'all have seen this. I don't find it all that funny, but I guess where they drive around in the neighborhood playing saxophones, like in the end of Boys in the Hood, like when he gets shot, and it's supposed to scare people.
I haven't seen that. What side of the internet do you be on? Why are you seeing these kind of things?
I don't find it funny. But yeah, somebody is like driving around Philly playing loud saxophones, and it's just somebody, and it gets increasingly loud, and you're supposed to like get scared.
You haven't seen that, Laura? You haven't seen that TikTok where they were like you can hear the saxophones getting louder. They're like the in the videos, and it's like when the saxophone started getting too loud, that's how you know the situation out of control. And it's like a trend on TikTok. You haven't seen that?
Yeah, that's in reference to the end of Boys in the Hood.
I haven't seen the Boys in the Hood thing though, but I do know the saxophone thing.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, you see them walking down the alley, and you hear the saxophones get louder as the drive-by is about to happen. And then that's when they get the loudest. You hear, Ricky! And then he gets shot. And so the joke, yes.
Sorry.
It's kind of funny, but I'm also kind of like, man, I don't know. That one I'm a little, but this one that y'all are about to play sounds a lot.
So, Lorik, have you ever seen this guy?
No, I haven't seen.
So I've seen
all these videos.
Yeah, and again, there's a lot of times where, like, again, you don't know what skit or whatever, but again, we talk about when we look at something and if we are political educators, organizers, we intellectuals, whatever, like we might see something in it. Kind of like, like y'all do with Black Men Build. It was like people might be doing something, but you see their skill and you try to put their skill to use so that they could help you achieve your game. But this is the video of him. Again, I still haven't researched any of this. I'm just hearing this, and
they are real complaints.
Okay. And before there's some context. Apparently, the Fed showed up to this guy's house because he was thought to be impersonating a federal worker. So I think that's why.
Yeah, I feel like that's why he hasn't been making the videos.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
OCDA is an acronym for Occupational Cares Diversity Affairs. And what we do is people go to my website, they file a complaint about their boss or their supervisor, anything like that. We show it to the job and we cuss their ass out.
Great prank.
Yeah. Everything you want to say to your boss, that you can't say, y'all contact us, go to our website, ocdaofficial.com, and we'll show up and say all the things you want us to say verbatim.
Is it anonymous? Like, do they know who it's
from?
Oh,
yeah, the complaints are totally anonymous, but I say everything verbatim, so you can curse on your complaints. I'm a curse anyway.
They would know it's me. That's the problem.
What does your company do and how was it formed?
OCDA is an acronym for Occupation.
So that's great. Definitely a prank. It uses humor. It sets up a fake scenario. I think it fits the criteria for a prank, but just a good one because it actually relieves.
They're not fake scenarios, though. That's what I'm saying. Like people go and file actual complaints, and he's showing
No,
up.
I'm saying you're right. I'm saying he is the one who's setting up the fake scenario by impersonating a worker or something like that. So he's using comedy to expose injustice, which I think is how comedy should be used. So yeah, great salute to that. That's funny. Then Ricky decided to run in a straight line instead of just jumping fences. Yeah, I mean, it's a movie. It's a movie. Yes. And he's like a D1 athlete, brother. Get over that fence. Why you trying to outrun a shotgun? But anyway. All right, with that, I actually think that's the perfect transition into our news for today. So we could get into that Drewski segment.
Yeah. I just want to say, y'all gonna have to blame that nigga who Reed said I was late because I had a while.
She called in.
I had to go. What you say, Geechee? What did Geechee
tell your story, Amber?
What happened?
What you say, Geechee?
Well, I mean, I did grow up in the church, so I could be a prophet or a prophetess. So I could have spoke everything into existence before you got here.
What did you prophesize?
Because of the anointing on my life.
You said that our brother who reads was responsible for you being late today.
That's so crazy.
I'm just saying, but listen, I got anointing on my life, so sometimes I can see the future for you. I'm telling you, Amber,
you prophet.
Amber, listen, I'm prophesying in your future. You and that brother gonna read a book together, and y'all gonna have a struggle about what y'all reading. And I'm just saying, in the future, you should just be patient with each other. that's my sermon for the day.
I don't think that would happen. I think the main struggle is if we would actually finish the book.
They're the struggle.
Make sure y'all send the cash app for your collection plate services.
Because the brother is prophesizing. No, I'm Nashville because of the redistricting thing. That's why my voice sound like this. And I was fighting white supremacists yesterday. So much be happening in my life.
You throwing hands at them?
I didn't throw hands at them, but somebody did set off 400 body alarms in the state capitol. And legend says some of them are still going off right now.
Let's see. That's another great prank.
Agitation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to hear an update on that. So perfect time. Let's hop into some news. Welcome, Friday Remix Morning Show. Amber, Geechee, and Lorik here. We have our stories for y'all. Ear Doctor wanted us to react to this recent Drewski sketch. I haven't seen it. I don't know if y'all have. British actors are taking all the roles, so I kind of already know where this is going.
I am really excited for this video. I just saw it yesterday. But I do just want to say, Done and None, them people did not even interview me. I don't even know where the fuck they got that footage from. And I really hate when media companies do that.
You just show up, you don't even know.
It's just all these clips of me in their videos. I'm like, I don't even know who them people were.
Yeah. Please send in super chats. That's what Amber's very good at asking. I am not. I always forget, but please.
Yeah, shout out Southside Smitty for the $20. And when you say love from CDMX, what's that? Like, is that a place or?
Yeah, it's got to be a place.
Okay, put the actual place in the chat.
All right, let's get into this skit. Let's see.
You promise you go with me now.
Rudy, stop talking like that. You ain't going to no big city. Mass ain't gonna let you.
Yeah, I'm going with or without you.
Rudy, stop talking like that. Stop. Hey, what are you niggers doing over there?
We gotta get out of here.
Hey, what are you doing?
And cuts. Fantastic. I need more American slave. Okay.
Like struggle.
So, yeah, the struggle.
Sort of like the dialogue, like the back and forth banner.
Absolutely. Yes.
See, this role was sort of a bit cheeky. I got a little bit out of my comfort zone, you know. During the filming of this role and this character, I felt oppressed, like an American slave, like a lot of struggle. I studied the art.
A fantastic turnout on the red carpet tonight. I'm just arriving. We have Samson Dubois at the American Guild Awards.
Samson, you look great tonight.
How hard was it for you to change your accent?
As a little boy from Manchester, I think I struggle a bit with the dialect, right? But to really get into character for this quite astonishing role that I took on, to say the least, I put it all on the line.
All right, 3, 2, 1, action.
I'm telling you, nigga, if you fuck with my shit, I'll kill you, nigga. You'll be fucked up. Fuck.
Nigga, we family.
Nigga, ain't no fucking family in this shit. We not family, nigga. Fuck family.
Hey, cut, that's the one.
That was stunning. That was stunning. Great performance. Working with a good London boy, and I bother him all the time. I had a call with the director. It was quite quintessential to the role, and great character development behind it.
I put this fucking bullet in your head, nigga.
I laugh because I'm penniless and a bit quite surreal.
Samson Dubois. Samson, yo, who's the girl? Who's the girl?
What's your next movie? What's your next movie?
Yo, do you think your British accent gets you all the black roles in America?
Come on, bro. Are you serious, bro?
Do you think you're better than them?
Better than who, bro? Black people.
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay. Yeah, exactly where I thought it was gonna go. All right.
All right.
I mean, part of the reason they might get the role is because they can do the accent better. That British accent was struggling, brother. But it's.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he said "bye." I really believed it. What do you
I
mean,
did
bro?
not think he was doing that accent.
What do you mean, bro? Let's go to London shops.
Bro, no, I think he nailed it, and that that's coming from being over there for a little bit. But
Yeah, he actually did nail that.
wait. So what's the argument? Because I feel like I don't know if I felt like he was playing. Basically, I felt like he was playing between the two cultures and speaking of antagonism on both. So, for instance, the British actor, or the African in Britain, is playing a particular role that depicting the African
Like
US
stereotypes
in
of
a
black
particular way,
people.
right? But also, so it's kind of like they're doing both of them. He's doing both of them in the skit, and so I'm trying to figure out what's the. This is my first time seeing the skit too, and I also don't know what the social media is talking about today. But like, what's the problem?
Lord, I just want you to know you getting ratioed in the chat. They said his accent was.
Yeah, I'm
weird.
getting ratio by a bunch of people who ain't British. I'll give it to Geechee.
You not British, nigga.
I give it to Geechee because he actually lived there. So I would like to talk to him.
Nah, he did it. He did.
I mean, I went there.
Robert Townsend did. Also, Samson Dubois, the last name, whatever, guys. It's a detail. It doesn't matter. Robert Townsend did this in the 70s with Hollywood Shuffle.
Now, again, I'm sorry, but now this.
I'm getting ratio though, Amber. I'm getting ratio. Say from Manchester with a clear London accent and not a UK name, Dubois. But it's all good.
Yeah. Listen. Anyway. I'm telling you, when I was over there, and I saw posters that says "Circulate the Black Pound," I was like,
well, that's hilarious. Oh, also in the UK right now. Anyway, Josh likes to be right, guys. Anyway, so the main thing that
you really do. You need to go talk to somebody about that.
I know.
Yeah, but sounding right is relative though, because it sound right relative according to you, based off of what you know.
Yeah, Manchester, Banta.
But seriously, what is the
point of the skit is? I mean, that was clearly a Damson Idris shot, but it's Damson. It's who's played Franklin Saint, who's supposed to be from LA and puts out a Cali accent. It's the brother whose name is escaping me right now, who played Fred Hampton and plays a lot of roles. He was the
Daniel something.
Daniel Kaluuya, right? Daniel Kaluuya. It's Brian Tyree Henry, I believe, who plays Paperboy in Atlanta. So there's been an entire wave in the diaspora of. Oh, it's also the sister.
Brian is British.
Am I not mistaken? I might. Maybe. Let me see. I've heard it's. Maybe I'm wrong. No, he's American. I'm sorry. His accent is posh. It sounds very different from his actual.
Not you said it was posh. Oh my god.
It is. It sounds very different from his. He's from North Carolina.
He sounds very proper.
Very different from his role. Sorry, Brian's American. Daniel Kaluuya It's the sister who plays Harriet Tubman as well. She's and is in Queen and Slim, I think, is another one. Jodie's in Queen and Slim. The sister who's in Wicked, who plays Harriet Tubman, is British as well. Daniel Kaluuya.
No, but that black lady from Wicked we don't like.
Right. What is her name though? It's
She's very anti-black.
Cynthia Erivo, Idris Elba. Right. So there's an entire history with the diaspora of people coming over from the UK who are trained in these acting schools and getting roles in the US. One of the things I've heard from Idris is that the market for Black roles in the UK is limited to some degree. And so that's a bit part of it. So this is a labor struggle. Another thing that they're pointing out is, again, they do not have this history with these communities in the US. And so, you know, Brian Tyree Henry playing an Atlanta nigga as someone from North Carolina, you know, not as egregious, I would say. But these people do not have histories with chattel slavery, essentially, are from the continent in terms of their heritage, like Nigerian or Ghanaian or things of that background. And so then they come over and play roles that people say should be designated for New Africans, African Americans, however you want to label us. The other one who played Dr. King was another example in Selma. He's British as well. And I believe the actress who played Coretta in that movie was also British. And so that's definitely becoming a bit of a tension when we have even historic roles of African American leaders being played by these British actors. So that's what he was parodying in that.
So I the first thing that came to my mind is like the Buckras run the same play every time. Like it's the same play, like the same stuff that we arguing about, fussing about, or sometimes our analysis in the US is kind of the same way people are than in the UK or whatever. And I guess I don't know if I understand the problem. And also what I'm trying to now wonder is like what is Drewski's role at this point now? Like last week he said some shit and everybody was happy because he said something about Erica, whoever her name is, Kurt or whatever, and like, you know, and then
that was a while ago though. That was from that other video.
Yeah, but Juicy. I mean, again, Juicy is always like Juice. Like these things are. It seems like Juicy is pretty big, and so now he's also sharing something to, I guess, bring up the contradictions between like Africans being dominated on one land versus the other land, and having them kind of like argue about, oh, you took our roles and we're the rules, and like. I'm just trying to know who.
Well, I think it is a problem. So I'll amend my statement, Chidi Macha. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying that continental Africans have a different history with chattel slavery than those of us who descend from people who were trafficked over here. That's just true. So if you're a Nigerian whose ancestors stayed on the continent while you were war-torn, ravaged, and colonized, absolutely. And chattel slavery probably did affect your peoples. You probably did have relatives who were snatched and taken away or sold into slavery. Your people did not experience that. So my ancestors were enslaved here and chatteled here. Whereas someone from Nigeria, for example, might have experienced colonialism, British colonialism, might have experienced that kind of exploitation. That is not the same thing as chattel slavery. So if you do not have that lineage, and God, I'm sounding like FBA and ADOS, but this is why they exist. This is why they're so successful as a PSYOP. If you do not have that lineage, and then you come over here to play those roles, absent that context, it's a problem. Similarly, though, if I were to go over to the UK and start trying to put on the Samson DuBois accent that he did, and start talking about Top Boy, and I'm from the ends, yeah, bruv, like that would also be problematic.
Hit the London stops.
But that's what I guess what I'm. Maybe we having two different conversations. I guess I'm trying to figure out like why does it matter? So
why does it matter? I was just gonna say that.
So not only why does it matter? It's like, bro, one of the things that was very confusing a lot confusing for me when I was in the UK. Like, you know how like I guess the interaction between a black person born in America, right, and African people who come to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a distinction. You either black hair. In the UK, it's like there's people from Jamaica, there's people from Nigeria, whatever, and like you don't. It's so much going on, and then even on their documents, it's like if you had to fill out something for healthcare, you'd be like, "What are you? I'm black, British, Jamaican, black." Like it's so many stuff. You like, I don't think that we would know their experience really well too, or maybe we would.
Correct, which is why I would not go over there and.
But maybe you will. Like I can experience something, and you can experience something, and it could be two different things. And because it's two different things, it doesn't mean that we don't understand each other, and it can correlate or it can be parallel. Like it don't have to be. I don't have to experience the same thing that you did to come to the same conclusion.
It is parallel. So this is my point.
I can see both points. I think that I met people who are just like Lorik, who feel like they can understand it, but they should not be like doing the actual role. But I actually agree with Geechee that I just don't think it's that serious. And I agree with folks in the chat who are talking about how like if you really do want to be a professional actor, you have to learn to have like an American accent, like because that's where most of the roles are, mainly because of how the UK is set up. The UK only plays the same like series of shows at the same time, and they have very high production, so they don't have as many episodes, and the seasons are longer. Things are way more stretched out production wise. So if you're an actor there, you're not gonna have a ton of roles there. So you have to come to the US. Like that's really your choice. Now, should they be playing in slave movies? I get what you're saying there, Lorik. But I also feel like if they black, it's not really an issue to me. It'd be different if a motherfucker was putting on blackface and doing it, but like these are black people. And also, I don't remember any UK like actors doing slavery movies. Is someone do one and I don't remember it?
Cynthia Erivo was Harriet Tubman.
Oh, I never saw that shit. I don't be watching them.
Right, it was very. So first of all, imperialism, y'all. We are not like we understand the primary contradiction. This is cultural imperialism. So the same way that I showed, like when drill rap, which is taken from our neighborhoods, corporatized, and then spread throughout the world. That is a result of imperialism. So when all these other people in the diaspora start doing drill, right? Although it emerges from African American communities, I don't want to claim that. It is a creation, it's a colonial creation. Corporations take it and they spread it to the world, and we have no control.
Drill like music?
Yeah, like music, drill music. So,
but even those they label as like New York drill, UK drill. Like they're not saying like just drill regular.
There's obviously interaction.
All separate continental types of regional types of drill music.
Same shit. Listen. I'm sorry. I'm. So here's an example. So before I left the country, I was in Baltimore for like 6 or 7 years, right? When I was in the UK, there's Birmingham, right? And then there's London and Brixton and other places, and then you know where your boy at, Tommy Curry, all the way up. He all the way up. He up there. Tommy
Curry.
That's Lord Homer. Don't worry about it. But he all the way up there, right? But listen, bro, I promise you, in Birmingham, bro, I thought I was in Baltimore. Like I'm telling you, like everything. I thought I was in Baltimore. So you can't tell me somebody who grew up there don't know what it's like in Baltimore. And if there was this Baltimore legend that I don't know became a figure to make a movie about in some far out future, this actor who has a particular skill can't do that role better than, like, you can't tell me that.
So this isn't about skill per se. I'm explaining where the contradiction lies. So
but I'm sorry. This is the last thing.
Mm-hmm.
While we're saying that, and a few people say this is Hollywood.
Yes.
So what are we expecting other than for them to keep us at well,
That's
you ain't experienced my experience. I ain't experienced your experience, so you can't be me. And why? What are we talking about?
So this is my entire point, and that's what Cherie said. American imperialism, European imperialism, capitalism are the root of the issue. So this ends up being labor struggle, diaspora war stuff caused by the fact that these are not our movies. We do not control them. So an exercise I do all the time, and I think I've done it on here before, is Coming to America a black movie? No, it has white screenwriters. It is white production. It is made for white people, and it's not made by conscious Africans. Even the jokes in that movie are based on stereotypes of Africans, stereotypes that we as African Americans, end up swallowing because of propaganda and the nature of the society we live in. So do I think The Royal Penis is Clean, Your Highness by an African American, Eddie Murphy, playing an African was good? Fuck no, it's terrible. So let's start there. That is the issue here. But because America is the epicenter, we're having this issue. Now, someone is pointing out that British people are formally trained. They have a famous theater school where Black British people get to practice. But when we look at our history, first off, as Cherie's pointing out, we have that tradition. Robert Townsend did this skit already. But there's also August Wilson. There's African-American playwrights. There's Denzel Washington, who was formally trained. And there's Black people who do plays on Broadway. So we're already getting into these tensions here of the British are more trained, which is a stereotype that Black British people get. So I'm open to looking at all sides of the diaspora. And yes, there are Caribbean people in the UK who also have a history with chattel slavery. What I'm saying is these actors who are not necessarily from these communities, when we do not have control of these cultural products, it is going to cause that tension because they are going to make comments that are problematic, right? Like Cynthia Erivo did about Harriet Tubman, who she played. Now, are we saying that African-American actors have that same knowledge of Harriet Tubman? No. In fact, I think there are plenty of bougie African-American actors who do not understand their roles, who do not understand the histories, and will also make these same problematic comments. But when you are doing that as somebody who is from the diaspora, it feeds into this tension. That's all I'm saying. So I agree. I do agree it goes both ways. I do agree African Americans play Africans. Look at Black Panther. But is Black Panther good for African Americans or Africans on the continent? No, it's horrible because it is a corporate, whitewashed Hollywood product. So that's all I'm trying to say. So yes, there is a problem here, and it is going to cause tensions because people who have a specific background are coming into a market that is American imperialism is the reason for it, and they are taking our jobs, quote unquote. That is the entire thing because they are using American accents. I've heard the similar argument around, what's her name? Ella May, right? Ella May sings R&B in an American accent. But when she talks in her interviews, she's British. And when we talk about how foreign people are treated, right, in this country.
But that's how everyone sings with a clear accent.
No. But why are you using? You're using an American accent.
That's not just British people. She can't sing with a British accent. Just like African folks can't sing. When Trms is singing, she doesn't have an African accent. That's not how that works.
In her voice when she sings, you can hear.
You cannot.
That is because she's trying to market to the.
That is not true, Lord. As someone who sings, I know
everyone has to sing like an American. Is what you're saying.
No, that's not singing like an American. That's how people sound when they sing. There's no inflection and accent when you're singing. Most people don't, unless you're like a country singer or like unless you're doing it. If you have a British accent or an African accent,
we have a two. Listen, we need to clip this part, and I'm gonna send it to my comrade's son Michaud, because I think we're not having the same conversation. That's what I'm saying.
I think Laura hard to tell on these people. I mean, I love one of the girls we work with at Common Hymnal. She's from Sweden. But when she sings, she sounds like a regular basic white girl because
that means that she's changing her voice. Okay, so
she's not changing her voice. I'm telling you, she's not changing her voice.
You're being trained.
She doesn't have it just doesn't come out when she's singing, but then when she's talking, you can hear a little bit of an accent.
So maybe that's how she was trained. Maybe her trainer trained her to sing. And
she's not like a trained singer. None of the people are. It's a music group. It's just niggas who like to sing. Like these aren't people who are going through vocal training and shit.
Hey man, listen. All I'm gonna tell y'all is somebody.
Does Bob Marley sing with an American accent?
Listen,
when you sing in English language, the accent doesn't.
Bob Marley sing in English. Does he sing with an American accent, Amber?
Hey, can I tell y'all a secret about these buckers, bro? Can I tell y'all a secret about these
You
buckers?
should stick us.
Listen, no. I'm gonna tell you a secret about these buckers, bro. Listen. Linda, listen. Like, bro, language is grunts, right? Like you can hear English and it sounds fluid and it sounds like, but really to somebody else it's grunts. It's like you're making sounds, right? We're talking about accents and this person is black. Like I'm telling you, it's the same thing. It's like these elite white people like control these people because they be arguing about shit that sometimes really just don't matter. And so that's kind of what I hear. I'm like, we having different conversations.
Yo, this is the American. We started with the premise: American imperialism is what controls the market, and therefore, if you're trying to survive in the American market, you are going to try to make a sound, right, to some degree that can be marketable here, right? You're going to be trained in the vocal style, the songs you listen to growing up, the R&B that Ella May listened to. I'm not saying it's not a genuine appreciation. Maybe she did grow up, not maybe, she grew up listening to Aaliyah and Ashanti and Mary J. Blige and all of them. Sure, that is not your accent though. And Bob Marley sings in English. Someone said, and Shinsia sings in English, but they have accents. Changing your accent because of the market you're trying to be read into, because of the genre, because you say, oh, R&B sounds like this. So that's the
what is Tim's native tongue?
I don't, what is it? I know Nigeria has a lot of languages. I'm not sure.
Right. So it's probably not English.
I don't know her background enough to know that. Maybe she did learn English, but in Nigeria, therefore with an accent that's Nigerian.
So if it is English, when Tim
she speaks Yoruba.
Okay, right. If it is English, when Tim sing a song, she's gonna be trying to say the English words in English. She will have an accent that makes sometimes the English words sound different than somebody else or whatever. But at the end of the day, she has to adjust and sing English. And it's gonna sound, and she's gonna have an accent of how she say English.
We agree.
Austin people gonna have accents the way how we say English. Brixton people, Birmingham or whatever. So I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what.
Right. So what I'm saying, okay, so Thames is somebody who you can tell her background because of her accent. She sings similar to how she speaks, which is with an accent.
She sings
does not sing similar to how she speaks. She sings like she has an American accent, which is why people are calling it cosplaying and getting into the FBA ADOS lineage stuff. I'm trying to protect us from these weak arguments that we're going to get from these agents, essentially, because you can't acknowledge. You have to acknowledge.
You need to protect from anything. I don't give a fuck about that shit. But I do think that it's not that serious. I feel like most people who are singing, regardless of the accents and shit, are still going to sound American. Like that's just what happens because they want people to be able to understand them. But I don't think they're doing it on purpose. Like you're saying, like she's purposely doing it this way. And I just don't feel that way because I know a lot of people who are British or African or whatever, and when they sing, that's how they sound. Even like in old videos of Tim singing, that's how she sounded.
Okay. I think it's serious. I'll try and explain why I think it's serious. I think it's serious because when we talk about FBA, ADOS, our history of language, trying to describe ourselves, what people are speaking to is a genuine pain, a genuine contradiction that we are experiencing as people whose ancestors were enslaved in what is now the United States of America, right? And so to acknowledge that uniqueness as a people who have never even gotten flag independence, right? So we haven't been able to call ourselves Jamaican or Haitian or Bahamian or anything like that, right? There's always going to be this identity crisis about what do we call ourselves? What's in the name? Because we knew once we move past Negro and Black, which are not speaking to nationhood, then we have to have a name. And so I like New African, but even that isn't perfect because New African refers to Africans who were enslaved in the Caribbean, South America, Latin America, and even Canada, right? So a lot of people, Bahamians, are still technically New Africans, but they can also claim an actual nationality, a nation, and a nation that has independence, which is Bahamian. For African Americans, we do not have that term because we are still a domestic colony. And so this is where the identity crisis comes from, why people are going to call themselves foundational Black American, because they're trying to say, all it is trying to say, my ancestors were enslaved in what is now the USA. But if you do not have a perfect term for it, you're going to try and come up with FBA or ADOS. The issue is we are not American, right? Bahamian is something that is different from English, correct? Haitian is something that is different from France, correct? So you actually get a nationality, your people get an identity, a sovereign, but we do not have that in America. So we are always looking for that term, whatever it may be.
It's so interesting you brought that up because one of the other people in the music group is Bahamian. And when he sings, he also sounds like he doesn't have a Bahamian accent. But when he talks, it comes out a little bit. And I've even listened to like when he's singing in like tradition, like in his traditional language, like he has like some little like carnival type songs. And even that isn't super strong.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's from his training or like just how he.
I was saying, but the Baja man who I grew up listening to sound super Bahamian when they sing. So
and I mean, he's from
listen,
the Bahamas and he lives there. He just moved here like a few years ago, so he hasn't even been in the U.S. that long. But I think it also depends on the person. Like some people just don't have super strong accents.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot that can happen. Sorry, I see you have this here. Why do you need a nationality? Is that has to, you're Haitian, Esme. You have to know why we need a nationality. It is a sign that you are a sovereign.
Not you know, Esme.
Yeah, well, Esme's been in the chat for quite some time. But why do you need a nationality? Because if you're a sovereign people, you have broken the yoke of colonialism. Now you're dealing with neo-colonialism, sure. But
John said, don't many of us switch to a different voice in white spaces? Fuck no. I'm never doing that shit.
Right, Devin. Yes. Why is, but that's why we're reading Revolutionary Black Nationalists. This is our struggle, y'all. The Republic of New Africa is literally about that, about the fact that we are a sovereign people, a domestic colony that is separate from the U.S.
Yeah, that's the aim or ideal.
So, I just want you to know, Lord, they said you can't compare Bob Marley because reggae is sung with patios.
Hey, really quickly.
So you were wrong.
There's a skit, right? I couldn't find it, and there was this little boy in somewhere, maybe he was in New York, and he was at like a bodega, and the Chinese lady, he was like, "Give me my money," and she was like trying to speak to him and saying like, "Give him, I gave you this much money, this so much change I need that," and then she would start saying something, and he said, "Bitch, speak American, like speak American." I'm like, so this is kind of what I'm hearing in terms of this conversation, and then this little thing right here, you're gonna see these people who are not from the United States. Mm-hmm. One of them is gonna sound like he's from the United States, and he's gonna have an accent, and I'm trying to figure out like what are we talking about? Like what is happening here based off of the argument that you're making, Lord?
Okay.
Pakistan Patan to Jimmy how to the bordering Afghanistan we near after the Afghani OCC border area. We have to their work at launcher firing after in the people 35 1 to the blocking.
روزه انگلیش که خبرونه خلا گوگه
Pakistan Patan to Jimmy how to the bordering Afghanistan we near after the Afghani OCC border area. We have to their work at launcher firing after in the people 35 1 to the blocking.
روزه انگلیش که
Right. So that's funny, but this is a commentary. Our people have never spoken English properly. Like you're Geechee, so you understand that is a specific type of settler English, and it's even regional. They talk about it's called news anchor English. Why do all the newscasters talk like this? Right? It's a thing. It's actually from,
and I hate it. I don't like the newscaster.
I hate it. I dated a newscaster. She used to do it. I always heard her voice, and she even talked about how she tried to change it. So as I see this comment here, many of us code switch not out of joy, out of need for opportunity. It's shaming that people already face oppression rather than the system. No one desires to assimilate. So this is the core of the conversation. That's all I'm saying. They need opportunity. The American market is the largest market. Hollywood is a cultural imperialist phenomenon, and so many of us are going to code switch. And that was why I even started with Brian Tyree Henry. That was why my brain was doing that, even though I even subtly knew he was American, because even trying to cosplay a hood person or try and code switch your accent to sound like you're from a particular neighborhood. Even that shit doesn't fly. If I were from Miami jitting to go over to LA and start talking like I was from Compton, even that would be questionable to me. So I say that as people who understand that our domestic colony is super spread out. Memphis, we share among ourselves, right? So what was that? What does Glorilla say that everybody's been Merzic, right? A lot of our people.
Cherie said even in acting school, Black Americans have to learn a general American accent.
Yes. So like I think there's
like we got penalized in school for like I only got penalized in school in elementary and middle school, like I couldn't sound like I sound. And then even when I went to college, there's a voice and diction class where again, like my accent changed. Like when I go home, sometimes I don't feel like I sound, and they were like, "Oh, you sound like you." And then I be in Baltimore, then you sound like you from Baltimore. I could be in Baltimore for like 2, 5, 10 years, and my accent might almost sound like I'm in Baltimore because I've been around them for a lot. So what are we like?
Right. So here's my thing, Geechee, and that's my point, Amber. Like, if this were organic exchange between Africans, if we were free and sovereign people, that would make perfect sense, right? Like it would be cool because you would be flowing between different nations, and so you would pick up these things. But because we aren't doing that, or because it's being forced under this capitalist kind of system, right? Then these British actors are not learning American English like in a organic way per se. Although we could say like they're migrating over here for labor or whatever, like they're getting dialect coaches. So somebody is teaching Damson Idris how to talk like an LA nigga. So, that is not organic or normal. So of course, African Americans are going to be like, "What are you doing?"
One more question. This is my last question. So you come to Charleston, right?
Mm-hmm.
I take you to not St. Helena. I take you to Johns Island,
mm-hmm.
and you're gonna hear somebody talk, and you're gonna be like, boom, 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 boom. And then we get on the boat, and then we go over to a space in Trinidad, or let's go to our Bayesian people. You go talk to them, and you're gonna hear the exact same way and whatever. Like you're gonna hear the same, like they're literally gonna be saying the same thing, but they're in two different bodies of, they're in two lands that's named by these people, but they're literally saying the same thing. So you're trying to tell me somebody, what are we talking about, accents? Are we talking about experience? Like
both. I'm just saying there's a way that capitalism is forcing people to change, to do things that are not the same as organic cultural exchange. And we could talk about it like even under chattel slavery, all different African groups, nationalities are being brought together and forcibly creolized, right? So that's not even natural. But in that way, we're still somehow organically interacting with each other, picking up the language over time. If I were somebody who married a woman from Charleston, for example, and then over time, woo, we must stay focused, brother.
You must stay focused, brother.
So I was somebody who, Geechee, for example, moved to Charleston because I had my cousin was out there, right, and he got a job. Because again, labor is always going to be a part of this conversation. So my cousin has a job in Charleston. And I move out there. I stay out there for a few years. I marry a Charleston woman. Our kids come together and they start developing an accent that sounds more like my wife's, right? That would be an organic exchange within our community by which an accent is transferred. Similarly, my mom is from Southside Chicago. My dad's from Miami, Florida. This is how they met as well. My mom still says pop. And we play with her for it. We joke around and say, "Why you say pop? That's weird." But she had kids with a Miami nigga, so we don't say pop. But it is still parts of the accent. My grandma says,
"What do you be saying?"
Wash. I said soda. We say soda. Or my grandma says,
Lord,
and stuff.
Lord, I got the perfect example now.
Go ahead.
I'm in New York.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, my mother. So my grandmother was living in Throsneck's apartments since my mother was, but I'm 42, and my mother, I don't know my age, but since my mother was 9 or 6, they was living in that same apartment, right? And so, and my grandmother had kids, and my mother moved down south. My accent is drastically different than my cousin's accent, Mark, who's in the Bronx.
Yeah.
And like, I guess what does that matter? So
it speaks to our histories, though. Like, I agree with you. I'm just saying that it does. So first of all, I'm not police. I can't tell you what you can and can't do. This is not what I'm saying. You can't do this. You can't do that. I'm saying, let's think about how to engage our cultures and histories respectfully. That's all. And no, because we're under Hollywood and white capitalism, and some white Hollywood exec is telling you what you can and can't do, and it's telling Damson Idris act like this, and it's telling the African American actors, oh, do that scene again, but blacker, right? This is the Robert Townsend thing. So that is all I'm saying. No, you couldn't, but I would ask you to think, to reflect on, well, what do people in the South have that's different? And then to talk about how, like Geechee just did, how are our ways of exchange changing? What are the forces acting on the domestic colony in the US that are causing things to happen this way? Asada was in New York, but she talks about the transition, the great migrations, and now the remigration. Why were my ancestors forced into Southside Chicago and then made their way back to the South? There was a reason for that. So I'm just saying, having that awareness and that history of that exchange and why it's happening is important. So when Asada says, I used to visit my grandparents in the South, that was a huge part of my cultural upbringing, and then I went back to New York, she's explaining that Huey P. Newton was somebody his family was from New Orleans, I believe, from Louisiana. And maybe not New Orleans, but from Louisiana, and then moved out to California. George Jackson's family was from Chicago. So all I'm asking for is to take ourselves seriously as a domestic colony, as a nation of people, a nation within a nation, or a nation within an empire, and to judge, why are we speaking the way we speak? And so when people do it for reasons that appear inorganic, which is a white Hollywood exec taking you off a plane and asking you to come here and play a role like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., it is going to cause some tension. That's it. That was my point. But I feel
no. I think the reality is, I know we do. We get your point. I think a lot of people get your point in the chat, because I think there's two different conversations. Like, because you even said, New Africans is a political ideology with a political objective, and that political objective is trying to fundamentally change power relations in the US and around the world for African and indigenous people. That's one objective. Then there's other organizations that or other frameworks out there who are also trying to achieve the same thing. And in that, I think the conversation is, there's two different conversations being had, because nobody's arguing about how your political formation theorize about how we're gonna get to this place. I think we're having two different.
No, I think that
I definitely think there's several conversations happening at the same time.
And I think that is.
I saw that Old Dirty said that great example, Terrence Howard's terrible ass Memphis accent. I actually just want to say that is actually how like a good 40% of Memphis does sound. It's just because they're like sectors. So like people in like Raleigh, Fraser, North Memphis have very thick accents. That's where Glorilla from. South Memphis has thick accents too, but it's like a little bit of a different inflection sometimes. I'm from East Memphis. My family's from South Memphis, so I sound like both of them mixed together. People from like Midtown sound very white, like they don't have really an accent at all. And then people like downtown are usually like transplants, so they definitely don't have an accent. But he sounded like a North Memphis nigga. Like that's actually how their accents are super duper duper thick, like extremely thick.
Yeah. And I think that's why Son was Show, and again, I'm clipping this and give it to him. That's why Son was Show is saying, like, if you come to Charleston area, the Low Country area, you got Mounts Corner, you got Alvin, you got Goose Creek, you got Mount Pleasant, you got downtown Charleston, North Charleston. All of those places got different accents.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you hear them, if you all of them come to New York and all of them talk, you would say, "Oh, them boy from South Carolina. They from down there." You'll say they're from there, but they all got different accents.
All right. Yeah, of course. This is just why I take it seriously.
And this is the last thing. Last thing. If they all got different accents, if somebody like Terrence Howard says, "I'm going to go play a figure from Charleston, South Carolina, a role," and then in going to that role, he go learn the language and the dichotomy or the delivery, but he learned it from somebody from Mouse Corner. Let's say he goes to Nard Daddy house and he's in there with Larry McKelvey. He said, "Hey, can you teach me how you say it?" And Larry like, "You can say him like this. You can say him like this." And he gonna keep saying that. And then whenever Terrence go play this role, Terrence gonna say he gonna say him like this, and gonna say that's a Charleston accent, and niggas in Charleston be like, "There ain't no Charleston accent, that's a Moncks Corner accent." And like you're like, what the fuck are y'all talking about, bro?
Because we don't control it. That's the whole point. Like
that's what we're saying,
right? Yeah, we agree. Like that's what I'm saying. I think the interesting part of this conversation as well as slang, right? Because slang can travel without accents traveling. So saying dead ass is something I picked up in New York, but it's not. I don't have the New York accent. Similarly, I don't even have a Miami accent in the way that I would say my cousins do, because I was extracted to the damn burbs. And so I didn't get the accent. I got the lingo. And so I'll say the same language, but the what I call this the city girls accent, if you were to hear that, that is what I consider the Miami accent. It's great. It's got a sing-songy ow. It's got like a sing-songy, tone to it. That is an accent, but you can say the lingo, right? White kids, Hispanic girls, the white girls take the lingo and will say it, but it's not the same as like the accent, which comes from actually living in the community, going to school around people who talk that way, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, Geechee, to your point, if we actually were to make that movie, I would be somebody who tries to go somewhere in Mom's Corner to show that character comes from there. But that is just not something that people are interested in, especially because once you broadcast it to the world, right, they're just interested in the movie and the general product, and if they can believe it, a baseline level. So
I got a clip Lori saying Amber and use that for something. It's so dramatic.
Thank you. Okay, man. Good story to start with. We have some more.
Was it? Because you was really feeling it.
I was. That's what I like this though. I like this when it's I've been dealing with trolls all week. Y'all actually care.
The nigga that reads says we're free but not sovereign because sovereignty requires a level of autonomy and some other stuff. I forgot the other stuff he said, but I told him I would tell y'all that.
Hey, listen, Linda. You know what would be really dope? If the nigga that read had a Kodak Black accent.
Oh Lord.
No.
What's his accent sound like?
He's from Alabama.
Listen. Amber.
He sound black.
Amber, slow down, listen to the question. What does his accent sound like? I need you to demonstrate to me what his accent sound like. Like, try. How did he talk?
I'm gonna listen to the voice message. Hold on.
Now, Laura, when Amber does this, Amber is gonna try to sound like, based off of how she hears him, he's gonna try to sound like that, and it's gonna be a part in Alabama that don't sound like all of Alabama. Go ahead.
Of course.
He said, "I ain't gonna hold you. I got distracted, and I'm finna get up now." He sounds regular to me.
He sounds like he from Memphis. That sounds like he from Memphis.
No, I don't think so.
He African, wherever the hell he sounds like he did the fight.
I think he definitely just sounds like a Southern person. Like,
yeah, it's a Southern.
I don't really hear like a super deep like country or Alabama accent, but most people I know from Alabama, I don't hear a super deep accent from them either. So I think it also depends on what you were expecting from someone from Alabama to sound like. It's like, I mean, people I dated from Mississippi to me don't have super deep accents. Like, they just sound like me.
Can somebody clip this conversation and turn it into a cartoon and have us having like conversation back and forth as cartoon subjects?
I do, and I saw what Brittany said. Brittany said, "Lord, I understand what you're saying, man." I do too. I do want to say that. I do understand what you're saying. I don't fully agree with it. I feel like some of it isn't like something I would necessarily agree with, but I do get the premise, like the argument that you're making, and like the premise you're setting up.
Yeah. And my computer's not
Somebody in the
feeling
chat
good.
said they were reading in all caps. That shit is so funny.
I got
so funny, bro.
I got too many tabs open. But
There
this
was
is
one I wanted to bring up. Someone asked about where is it? It was a recent one.
Okay. While you're doing that, I have a story related to our last week combo. If you wanted to.
Oh, this was the one. Something about many of us code switch. It's not out of joy. It's out of need for opportunity. It's shaming the people that already face oppression rather than the system no one desires to assimilate. And I did not realize so many people were still doing this code switching shit. I've never done that. And I actually don't know many people from Memphis who do that.
Yeah, that's a survival.
And it might just be like a Memphis thing because we all understand each other, so we don't see the need to do that. But like, I was working in corporate America, literally working in corporate America, like sounding just like how I normally sound. And the people who was in the same call center as me, in the same office as me, was answering the phone sounding the same way. They was not code switching. And there wasn't an issue. But I also think that might be because like I was in Memphis. I think if you're in New York or like a Chicago, they might expect you to do that. I'm not doing that shit though.
Yeah, I think it's also it's accent, but it's also the mannerisms, it's to vernacular. Like there's a lot of ways in which code switching happens. But yeah.
Lord, I do want to just say, I feel like I should take some executive privilege here because people keep asking me a lot of questions about the Tennessee stuff, and people asking me a lot of stuff. There's like multiple flagged comments here. So can we switch to those stories?
Sure. Do you have anything from the Tennessee story you want to pull up, or do you want to just?
Yeah, I have 2 links here.
Go for it.
Yeah. I think it's important to note that code switching isn't just in language; it's in enunciation, and yeah, we have to probably, as the people say, we have to decolonize our minds of concepts. But yeah, I think most people have to. Most people, it's a. Sometimes it's a term and endearment to code switch, or if you want to connect with people, you want to meet with people where it's at. Sometimes you might have to code switch. So it depends on what we're defining as code switching. So
somebody said, "Yes, we still code switch from Memphis." Girl, stop doing this shit. So the first thing I saw 2 comments asking me about Justin Pearson and like why the people on Fox News were talking about him. I just want to play a clip from what happened yesterday in the State House. So I was in the Capitol because they were trying to pass redistricting bills and a new map. So a new congressional map and 2 bills about redistricting. And there's 2 sides of the gallery in the House, the west side and the east side. I'm sitting on the west side, and then there's people sitting on the east side. Somebody started like hissing up there, and they told them to clear out that gallery. And some of the people, the black people that were up there, didn't want to leave because they were like, no, I want to be able to witness this. Like, you're not going to take my voting rights away and then like try to kick me out. So at one point, they were trying to kick out Justin Pearson and his brother, Keyshawn. And this is the video people have been seeing.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You stupid mother.
What did he do to make them niggas that mad?
I said, hey, my friend cuts real good. I ain't gonna hold you, man. No, they should have let that nigga go. Like, why did you have him hemmed up like that? He telling you to get up off of him, and the troopers is telling you to get up off of him, and you won't get up off of him. Boy.
So, Amber, I'm trying to do better at responding to media. So for context wise, I don't know what I'm responding to. Where is he at? And this video, is this video from his team, or is it somebody recording something that's
There was
happening?
someone there recording, like there was media on that side. So someone there was recording from the media, that news station. That's who got it, the news station, and that's who posted it. But yes, and someone in the comments said this, and this is not Justin's typical demeanor. I don't know if I've ever heard him curse before. So since I know Justin, I have heard him curse before, but he is usually very diplomatic. Like when he's in the House being a state representative, like he's trying to like just get through, what they have to do. But them niggas was hemming him up for no reason. Like, why do you have your hands on them? It's not that serious. And so I feel like he was justified. I mean, all of us do. Like, he was justified in his response. Get the fuck up off of me. Like, why are you on me and they're telling you to get off of me? I don't know why y'all be thinking that that's what happens. I don't consider cussing code switching.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Like you have to focus on.
It is.
Yeah, you have to focus on
code switching.
Listen, you got to focus on the conversation and the utility of a word. The utility of a word is like, again, in Charleston, when we on the block saying we say whatever, fuck white, you ain't gonna say that same shit as your grandma's house. Right. You're gonna literally adjust to the space because that's your grandma's house.
Oh, I'm probably going to hell then because I definitely cuss at my grandma's house too.
But that's okay. Or just like you say, when you trying to make a demand, if they tell you, hey Amber, don't say these things, this is our intention, you have to adjust. You have to adjust your enunciation. So you are essentially what one would call code switching.
My enunciation?
Yeah, your delivery, your pitch, your tone, and your enunciation.
I'm not doing any of that. I might adjust the words I'm saying, but I'm not adjusting my delivery, pitch, or tone.
You would.
That's not something I want to do.
Yes, you would on occasion. If they say, Amber, if you yell or you do this or you say this can impact our larger campaign. So within these parameters, Amber, just do this. You're going to be code switching at that point, Amber.
I haven't experienced that. I'm not going to hold you. No one has come to me and said some shit like that to me. Have I been like, oh, I want to make this a long-term campaign. Let me stretch out like how I escalate. Yes. Has someone told me, Amber, don't do these things? Fuck no. And it could be because they're scared of me, but also it could be because they just respect me as a leader and understand that like that's not what I'm into. Like I'm not going to do that. I don't want to like change my body language in that way. I don't want to do any of that stuff. But someone was asking what happened before that. So what happened was that some of the white ladies in the gallery is very long. So it's like, imagine it's like this. And there's like 4 different sections of seating. Keyshawn is at the last section near the door, and someone in the very far section was hissing, like at the reps while they were like testifying. And I'm screaming.
And that's what I was gonna put up there. So hey.
This Democracy Now! Amber versus the real Twitter.
That's a great example.
I don't know, man.
It's not a bad thing though. Like take rid of.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I didn't see myself doing that. But
code switching is not a bad thing, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I still don't feel that way. But what I was explaining earlier is that they were up there in the gallery, and so that scene is because the troopers were going and clearing the gallery. So they'll go row by row, telling people to leave. And Justin was he had came upstairs to see why they were asking to leave. Keyshawn was sitting down, and there was 2 white ladies sitting down too, and they didn't want to get up. And then Justin was like trying to talk Keyshawn down, like, hey, we're gonna have to leave out. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. And honestly, I respect that because this is only it's not only impacting Memphis, but it's mainly impacting Memphis. And as lifelong Memphians, we have a right to watch what they're doing to us. Like I deserve to bear witness to that. And he didn't want to leave. So Justin was hugging him for a while. I saw another video, like right before they were like hemming them up, they were hugging. Like Justin was hugging him, saying like, okay, are you sure this is what you want to do? I'm gonna walk with you. I'm gonna let nothing happen to you. And then they started grabbing at him. So in the video that you're seeing, that's right when they started grabbing at him. He was like, stop, like I'm gonna walk him out. He can walk. You don't have to do all of that. We can walk him right out. There's no reason to like be on us like that. So that's why he was responding in that way, because they were being aggressive. Like I don't understand the need for that.
Question. So Justin in this video is is he an activist coming to some region or some place of Memphis to do something. This happened in his own neighborhood. Like, why is Justin there at this whatever's happening there?
Because he's a state rep.
Okay, so he's a state rep, and something is happening in the place, and is Justin called down to that space to kind of help the people on the ground doing something? And so he just
he was in the house. So we're in the house, like in the Capitol. There's a house in the Senate. We're in the House chambers in the gallery. Justin's on the floor because he's a rep, so he's on the floor listening. When he saw the troopers clearing them out, him and Afton Ben, who's another state rep, they both went up there because the other thing is that while all of this is happening, we have multiple actions planned. And so we're telling people in the gallery to be quiet because we need them to stay up in the gallery for the actions that we have planned. But there was other people who were not with us for this action who were making noise. And so we also didn't want them to clear the gallery for that reason because we had this action plan. And if you hear, I don't know if y'all heard in the video, you can hear alarms going off in the video. I don't know if y'all can hear that.
Yeah.
But that was like part of it. So someone like discharged their alarm early because they were trying to get them to leave. And then after they finished the full they were talking for like 44 minutes on the floor, like the different reps giving like comments or whatever, the Dem side.
Okay.
Then there were 200 of them released.
So this stage is there's politicians at a convening, and Justin is one of those politicians that is bigger convening. Justin's political practice, like he sides more with the progressive, the black folks, whatever. At this meeting that this thing is happening, Justin, one of the politicians, jumps in and get into some of the action while the other politicians kind of sit back, because Justin has a reputation of being for the people. So that's what brings Justin to being video camera, saying all that, and him cursing and the bravado. He's doing that because he's with the people, right? Or
he was doing that because he was trying to make sure his brother didn't get like harassed by the police. Like,
gotcha.
That's his, like, their family is very, very close. So like his brother has been with him I've been in Nashville for 3 days. Like, this wasn't like just us being here for a little bit. This is my 4th day here. We all have been up here this entire time. So Keyshawn has been up here supporting his brother, who has to face white supremacists every day as they're passing these maps to remove our congressional district. So he's been here with him. So he wasn't going to leave him, just like Justin didn't leave him when he was finna get arrested. Like, he just was supporting him in the moment. I was like, would I have told him to just leave? Probably not, because I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. I understand why he didn't want to leave. I just think that I don't like dealing with the state troopers. They be doing too fucking much. And I understand exactly why Justin cussed him out. But we already had legal support there. Like, the public defenders, one of my really close friends, the public defender, they already were walking to the courthouse as they were finna arrest him and got him out in like 30 minutes. So there was no charges. Everything was dismissed. He was released. We were good to go. Because also I'm an organizer. So I had niggas prepared and in place for whatever was going to happen. So it was fine. But that was just the first clip, because several people were asking about that in the chat, like what it was and what was happening. The other clip is, let me see. Let me switch over.
I've learned sometimes when we look at clips, even if we narrate what's happening on the clips, sometimes it's hard to like connect with like the full scene of what's happening, so that you can make a conscious response to what you're saying is happening.
Do you feel like that wasn't enough for you to make a conscious response?
Oh, that was a lot. I mean, I just see, if I saw the video, I think I saw some of the video, I wouldn't know what was going on. Like, a lot of again, like for instance, something really big can happen at a community meeting and they film it, and then they can come online, it can go viral, and most people wouldn't know that, oh, it's at Pittsburgh Neighborhood Association meeting that's once a week, every Saturday, or something. Like, they wouldn't know that that's what's happening. So without that context, sometimes you really can't really make an informed decision or response sometimes. So that's what I was.
Yeah. And just reading out the chat, I think you were responding to this, Amber, or maybe it was related, but Bad Biscuits, thanks for the super chat. Amber, I saw you on May 7th, Democracy Now! Clip on their website. Could you speak to the accuracy of the report if you saw it? You the best. You're muted.
You went mute for some Amber.
Yeah,
Did you
for
cut
some
your mic?
reason.
You cut your mic off?
Hey, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, Latif sent me the clip, so I pulled it up so I could show it. But I didn't talk to them people. So that's what I was saying earlier. I don't know what the clips say because I didn't do an interview with them people. I was organizing. So I was busy. But apparently there's a story in a clip or whatever.
What'd you say?
Cool.
Yeah,
I was asking if Amber could pull up the clip so we could see her reaction. Any other super chats? I believe someone gifted some memberships, which is really cool. As always, thank y'all. We are remonetized for the time being, so you can be a member here or you can join on Patreon. So thank you, Southside Smitty, 1962, for gifting 5 Black Liberation Media memberships. We appreciate it.
Period. Okay, here's the clip.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.
We end today's show with a look at voting rights right here in the United States. The Supreme Court's gutting of the Voting Rights Act has led to a scramble by southern states to gerrymander congressional districts before the November midterms. Last week's Supreme Court ruling makes it harder for minorities to challenge electoral maps as racially discriminatory under the Voting Rights Act. On Monday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a new gerrymandered congressional district map into law, posting on the social media platform X, quote, signed, sealed, and delivered. And on Wednesday, the Alabama House voted to approve a plan that would change the congressional district map during an active election, even though some votes in the May 19th primary have already been cast.
But in states across the South, civil rights activists are also pushing back. In Tennessee, hundreds of protesters marched to the state capitol in Nashville Wednesday as lawmakers unveiled a gerrymandered congressional map that could see Republicans take control of all 9 of Tennessee's U.S. House seats. The General Assembly is expected to vote on the new map as soon as today. For more, we're joined in New York by Ari Berman, national voting rights correspondent. Mother Jones, his latest book, Minority Rule, the right-wing attack on the will of the people and the fight to resist it. Can you talk about all of these developments? Start in Nashville, where we're just listening to these hundreds of protesters.
Good morning, Amy. So in the wake of the Supreme Court's effective destruction of the Voting Rights Act, we are seeing southern states all across the South redraw their voting maps. This could lead to the largest drop in Black representation since the Jim Crow era, and it is happening with alarming speed, beginning today in Tennessee, where they are set to pass a 9-0 map that splits the city of Memphis, which is 63% Black, into 3 different congressional districts to dilute Black voting power. Memphis has had its own congressional.
Memphis is 64% Black
district since 1923, and it's now going to be split apart in 3 different districts. Nashville is going to be split into 5 different districts, and this is very symbolic. This was the place where Martin Luther King was assassinated. This is where he led the Poor People's Campaign, and it's indicative of what's happening across the country, which is the ink is barely dry on the destruction of the Voting Rights Act. And all across the South, from Tennessee to Alabama to Louisiana to Mississippi, they are drawing districts to specifically eliminate seats where voters of color can elect their candidates of choice. So this is a really fire on fire for American democracy.
Candidates of choice.
And Ari, if you could
elect their candidate of choice.
Okay.
In what context was he using voting power? Like,
Yeah, that was interesting analysis. But I
Yeah, I think that I would say for Memphis specifically, it is a little different from the other states. So Alabama and Louisiana are arguing for districts that are Voting Rights Act districts, meaning they filed lawsuits to have those districts created. Memphis's 9th congressional district has existed since 1923, like he said. It's also an organic district, meaning that this was not a district drawn for Black people. We live in Memphis, Black folks live in Memphis and have our own congressional district. Because we're choosing to live there, and it's based off the population of people there. It's not that we had to have that district drawn for us, which is why there's so much, seriousness behind redrawing the district, because it's not as if they like gave this to us through a legal fight. This is an organic district, and it's the largest district in the state and the largest in the country for some places that have organic districts, like places like Philadelphia or Baltimore. Like, that's just how the people exist there. So that's why he was saying it in that way, because they are stripping voting power from us because of the way they do the maps, and there wasn't a legal argument or court case before they gave us like those maps. Those are the Republicans voted for the congressional maps, and they have continued to vote for that congressional map for the last 5 decades, meaning they have known that we had that congressional district and have never had an issue with it before.
Yep. The Republicans have a consistent method for gaining power. This is not something that's going to change across, Trump is doing there's factional disputes. So Trump had those GOP candidates that he promoted over the standard Republican Party that won. And so absolutely, that does exist. But in terms of their plans, Project 2025 was a big, buzzword that was happening, but that is Heritage Foundation, that is right-wing think tank plans since Reagan, since before them. They have a continuity of strategy. And so what we see is, of course, the Democrats' continuity of strategy is to try and play both sides and always take the side of capital. And so that's how we end up in this situation, unfortunately. But
I think it's important to, so when you said think tanks, right? It's always important to center that think tanks have a political, it's funded, it has a political objective, and it has policies that it shares to order society. That's its role. Mm-hmm. Both parties get ideas to build out their platform from those same think tanks. So it doesn't, the think tank essentially all work the same thing. So like the answer is, the question is the replacement of the Republicans' policies that they get from particular think tanks with what? Like what? With the Democratic one, or at the end
that ends up being the question, right? What is the Democratic Party alternative to these things? Obviously, they would want to maintain the districts to some degree because they have elected, representation there. But in terms of actually having the power to maintain these things, this is why Obama's talking about, we might have to try this again and get it codified this time. Like, brother, what were you doing? Like, how is this stuff never codified the first time? I'm sure when we see Amber is talking about getting policies passed that actually can survive, that actually can, make it past Republican onslaughts, because the Republicans, as Amber was saying, are going to continue doing this. They are not going to change and say, maybe we're going to redistrict it this time, or maybe no, they're going to keep trying. So you have to build something that can actually resist them institutionally, something that they can't just magically change. And I'll give the example of Florida, because we can't get amendments passed anymore with simple majority. It's been a huge problem. So when we had amendments,
over 50%.
Exactly, 60, I believe.
60%.
Right. When Amendment 3 and Amendment 4, which was for legalization of marijuana and abortion access, we had 54 and I think 55% of the electorate that wanted that. And yet we couldn't get it passed because in 2006, the Republicans, I'll give him the, rule by a minority, whatever, but that's what happened. The Republicans passed it such you have to get a supermajority. And the irony was they passed that with just a basic majority. It was like 51 or 52% of people said, yeah, let's do it. And so now it's stuck at 60%, which makes it a very, very high hurdle for us to clear when we want basic policies passed. So the Republicans, they know how to use institutions to lock out popular political will. The Democrats do that as well. But obviously, like when we're talking about even basic policies that would have been helpful, they aren't going to get them passed. At the same time, they'll still campaign by saying, vote for me because I care about these policies, but you don't actually put anything in place to defend them. And so we end up on the hamster wheel.
Right.
Over and over again.
I will just add, I know that someone in the chat said, like, do they do this? What does this do for white people? Like, does it make it easier for white people? I just want to say, one, They have been trying to cut out the Democratic voting blocks in Tennessee for 20 plus years. They just split up Nashville into 3 congressional districts too. But when they did that and created Congressional District 7, we actually almost flipped that seat. It was actually very close. And they moved so many people who were in solid red districts 12 plus points to the left, more than ever before. And so actually a lot of their plans have been backfiring on them. And this move to split us also into 3 different congressional districts also removes voting power for those white people too in their districts because of the way they chopped up the map. Because there's so many rural areas in Tennessee, they had to make the districts super long and stretched out because they have to meet a certain population amount. And to do that, you have to include multiple rural areas, not just a little bit. And so those people in the rural areas aren't getting fair representation either. Because I tell you one motherfucking thing, we're going to flip them seats and now they won't have nobody. Because also they made 4 seats very competitive by trying to dilute the black voting power because they included so many areas that actually have moved quite like 12 plus points to the left. So actually could vote for a Democrat. Congressional District 5, 7, 8, and 9 are actually extremely competitive now based off of how they drew the map because they're also depending on people to not try to run in those districts. I think they're just gonna be like, oh, that's a long shot. There's no way they can win that. The districts they drew each have almost 260,000 black people in them. If 100 to 200,000 of the black people in those districts vote, then we win. Because rural voters don't vote either. They have very low voter turnout too. And there aren't enough people. There's more of us. So either way, the way they try to disenfranchise us is gonna backfire on them. And now there's all these people coming here to support us. Folks are finna come down. We're finna make a strategy for black voting power. They're gonna be canvassing, phone bank. We finna get folks registered who aren't registered, make sure folks who aren't engaged are engaged. And I can guarantee you we can flip them seats. Which is why I'm pissed off about it. Like, I think it's fucked up that they redistrict us. I think it's fucked up I had to spend half of my week here with white supremacists, but I also disrupted the fuck out of that session. There was 400 body alarms going off for hours.
Right.
Like they said at 9 p.m., they were still going off in the House gallery. They didn't see a lick of peace. Them niggas was so fucking annoyed. The state troopers pissed off because they can't put earplugs in. They trying to talk to each other. They can't hear each other. They on the phone, can't hear each other. They in front of each other, can't hear each other. Nothing. We disrupted the entire session. I had senators standing on fucking desks. People who have never done a direct action before. Senator Charlene Oliver stood on her desk with a banner that says no Jim Crow 2.0, stop the Tennessee Steal, because they also understand how important it is to legislate and litigate as a legislator, yes, but you also got to stand the fuck up. At some point, you got to be like, all right, I'm not just gonna let this shit stand. I'm gonna stand up and like fight for the people. And they were doing that. And that's something we also have never seen before. And I know a lot of folks don't fuck with the Democratic Party. I barely fuck with them too. But I will say they're the most united with movement folks right now as they've ever been, more than they've ever been before because of this issue. Because a lot of them wanted to run for that congressional district. And now it makes it harder for them to run for that district. So they're also pissed off.
Sure,
so I think there's a lot of there's a lot of bright spots in it. I'm just annoyed that I had to do it, but there's a lot of bright spots in what happened, and there's a lot of possibility, but it does require a lot of strategy. It's going to require a lot of work, and I would just say my question is always going to be: are people willing to do that?
Yeah, Amber, I would say I'm glad that you're sharing this story with us, and I know the spaces that you're in could be very frustrating and shit like that, but I think the work that you are doing is dope, and I think your political strength is going to transcend all of the organizations and formations that you pursuing for the rest of your life. So a couple of years from now, you might be in another org, you might have a different politic or whatever the case may be.
Maybe.
But yeah.
I wanted to just highlight what Amber was talking about with the stretching of these districts and these things. So this was based on the proposed, it's hard to see, sorry, ballot redistricting that's in Florida. So as you can see, the red areas remain relatively untouched, obviously, toward North Florida, which is very similar to the South. And then in South Florida, you see this one, District 22, for example, being a dramatic change. That pretty much breaks up any sort of probably the strongest blue area that we have, right? So as you can see, these are the changes that Amber was saying, and yes, they are not democratic for white people even, but we know that's kind of how that goes in this country. And yeah, that's the goal. So of course, the Democrats will be united because they are out of power. Our task, as Amber says, is to make sure that they, when they come into power, are at least willing to codify policy so this thing can't happen again. And then the major challenge is to get us out of the Democratic Party so that we can actually have independent political power. And so visit Saturdays with Renee. I think Andy Ellis and the Green Party are going to come on there and talk about those efforts too.
So I'm glad that you said that, because it made me think of I remember a conversation we had a little while ago about labels or something. We said something and somebody said socialism, and I just don't remember what it would have, but I remember we then started this whole conversation around labels. And again, I wonder if people ever had conversation around like Republicans and the root word republic, Democrats, the root word democracy. What are those things? Are those social arrangements? And then if democracy is a social arrangement, like, can you measure it and it be actual democracy? And so, for instance, if the Democrats are saying that they are for democracy, but they have, in the whole history of their existence, never actually been a part of, never achieved a democracy, and actually was anti-democracy most of the time. Like that's been their historical thing. And so if somebody say, okay, well, in order to actually achieve a democracy, the methodology to achieve a democracy is what one would probably call socialism. And then if somebody, again, if you say that you're a part of a party, you're working for a party, or you don't go to titles or whatever, at some point you're going to be engaging with people who believe that they're trying to order society in a way that they think is logical or the right way. And so, yeah, I think when you're not aware of that, like, I guess we get caught in labels of kind of like.
Yeah, I know we did have that conversation like about labels and stuff, because I don't really agree with any of them. And then we was arguing about it. Well, not arguing about it. We were having a discussion about it, and I was just like, yeah, it's just not something I'm into, and I still feel that way. So I don't know.
Well, go ahead.
I just want to say I saw Brittany's comment that said they came out for Trump, didn't they? They really didn't. No, it wasn't that much. I mean, not that many people voted. It don't take much, really. It don't take that many people to vote in Tennessee, anyways, for the Republican to win. But if you look at the actual numbers of like the counties and folks who voted for him, it wasn't that many. Like, it wasn't the entire electorate at all.
Yeah. I see our favorite Democratic Party stand is in the chat. There's racism in the Green Party. PSL's controlled opposition. Build something else. That's the point. I talked about the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party for a reason. You have to build a third party. This is basic revolutionary theory and practice. If you don't know, study, because there's no way if you, the Green Party's racist. Wait till you hear about the Democrats. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, moving on.
Latif sent me this clip so I can show y'all this one. This is from the committee. So like I said, I've been here since Tuesday night. So Wednesday was like the large committee day where we were going to different committee hearings and hearing them discuss the bills, and had different senators and House reps that we had targeted to try to get to vote no, which we did get a few to vote no actually, but it wasn't enough to like kill them in committee. But this is a clip from the committee on Wednesday and like some of the proceedings and stuff that I kind of remember, but not all the way. Oh shit, I didn't hit the wrong thing. My bad.
Anything I can do or say to get you to leave? Go. Time to go.
This process has been done completely in secrecy to deny the public and representatives and elected officials the opportunity to understand what's really going on. We don't have a GIS map to actually know which streets are going to be impacted by this. This has been done entirely in secrecy. And when you're doing something wrong, that's what you do. You hide what you're doing. We know the intention here, be racist. It is to take the only majority black district, out of the United States Congress, and it is to allow for white representation and white majority districts to exist, period.
And by breaking up our district into 3 different separate congressional districts, there's no way we can get fair representation. Our needs are nowhere near the same as a rural community and nowhere near the same as other parts of Tennessee. And that's why we have our own congressional district. And it's important that we have a Congress member who can advocate for the things that we need and the resources that we want. We have different issues around affordable housing, infrastructure. That's completely different from rural areas. We have issues around the economy and jobs. That's completely different from rural areas.
We were making the most fundamental decision that affects the people. Who gets to speak for them? And we were doing it in a room where the people were entirely absent.
So voters who were previously in a single majority Black district would now be split into several districts, correct?
I don't know.
So how are you proposing a map and you don't know anything about it?
I know how the map is divided, but I don't know the racial makeup of the map.
Okay.
They were using that language because of the Supreme Court decision that says race is not considered as a factor. And so in every questioning that they were doing of the different responses to the bills, they kept saying, I'm not sure what the racial makeup is. I don't know what that is. Race was not used as a factor in this because they're like trying to stick to these talking points for their legal argument. But we all know there's no way you could chop up a district like Memphis and race not be a factor, because race is the main factor of why it exists. That's literally the reason.
What maps were they talking about?
I'll pull up the map for you. It's the congressional map that they changed. Let me see.
Yeah. And Brother Ron, appreciate that. Now we're back. Great comment. Where can you get that black hoodie? You can get that on Black Liberation Media's website. I'm going to drop it in the chat right here. Please support. Excellent hoodie, Geechee. I don't have my sweatshirt today, but love that.
Okay, here's the map that we currently had. And then this is what it looks like, what they chopped up.
Ooh.
So our old map used to look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And the new map looks like this.
And what's happening? What's the red?
That's the people. So that's black people.
White.
One dot equals 250 people.
Can you go back to current?
Yes.
Real quick so I could just see that. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so what's happened? Like
they just cut it down. They just cut it down the middle. You can see. They just.
So they losing, like y'all losing black population.
Well, they cut the black population.
They're trying to split up the black population.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the one that shows the whole thing stretched out. Hold on one second. Let me find the one that shows it like all the way stretched out so you can see it a little better.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. They're trying to split them to do what?
They're trying to split the black voting power. So Memphis is the only black congressional district in the state. And so the map that they propose chops us up 3 different ways. So like going this way, and this way. And actually my congressional district 9, where I live, is now in the same district as Pulaski, Tennessee, where the KKK was found. How they, were able to figure that shit out, who knows? But okay, here's the actual map so you can see it a little better.
Yeah.
Urban Beacon.
They could always do their classic move and just put a highway through y'all.
Man. Okay, so this is the new District 9, right? So you see Memphis right here. That's split into 3 different districts right here. Because this last county right here, when you zoom in, this last county is Shelby County, right? So they split the city of Memphis into 3 different districts. And this is Pulaski, Tennessee, over here, over almost 3 hours away. And I'm in Congressional District 9. This is 4. The nigga who reads now lives in District 4. Even though he was in District 7 But the way they chopped up this new map also moved Nashville voters and like Smyrna, Antioch, all the surrounding cities and counties. It also chopped them up too because they had to draw the line dramatically across. So District 5 didn't include any of Northwest Tennessee right here.
Yeah.
This is Weakley County and Obion County where I went to college. So Northwest Tennessee actually has a pretty good Democratic stronghold actually. And then this is like more farmland stuff right here. So these are all rural areas as you go up. So if you were to like draw a line right here, all of this is rural going across here, and then it doesn't get urban until you get about right here. Because it's mostly farmland. Like, I mean, that's what Tennessee mostly is, like niggas with farms and shit.
And so when they split it up, you meaning like the district and the funding is gonna get changed around. So taxes is gonna be absorbed from one group, and then
Not taxes, but the reason why I talked about in the video about like representation is that, you know, Congress members only have so much power in federal government, but the main power they do have is getting funding for your district, but that funding is based off of what they want. And so the funding we've been getting in Memphis especially is like infrastructure. We had to get a bridge fixed because there was actually a hole that developed in the main bridge in Memphis that like most of like trucking companies and stuff use because we're on a major highway. So they have to all cross that bridge. So we had to get federal funding to fix the I-55 bridge. We had to get federal funding to help with affordable housing because our mayor right now wants to do this 10,000 house thing, right? So he pitched last year to get federal funding to support that. We also get a lot of federal funding for crime prevention and for like nonprofits and supporting like county programming, like around the health department and other stuff like that. And so all of that is advocated on by our Congress member. And so if you have a Congress member that's representing a third of Memphis instead of the whole city of Memphis, they're not going to prioritize it as much if we're being realistic. If this is only this much of my district is Memphis right here, and the rest of this is all rural areas, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I want to prioritize, you know, what the city of Memphis wants. Meanwhile, I'm also representing Pulaski, Tennessee. Mind you, this is Chattanooga, like where my mom's side of the family is from. So you see how far away it is? Pulaski, Tennessee is like right here. It's one of these two. So it's super far. But yet we're in the same congressional district. Or even Congressional District 5, which used to be over here. They've stretched it all the way across to now include people in Williamson County and Franklin, Tennessee, which is the richest county in Tennessee. And all the rural areas right here, all rural, like straight up agriculture heavy. Like when I went to college, there's like people with farms for miles. They got farms, houses. Soybeans is like the top like product in Tennessee. So there's a lot of soybean farms, cotton, stuff like that. And that's all up there in Northwest Tennessee. And then you get a part of Memphis and Templeton County. That's weird. But it's also how they're trying to dilute the black vote, basically. But they're also going off of the people who they think are going to vote, not the actual population, because they're considering that, oh, the people, you know, who live here, most of them aren't going to vote anyway. So we don't need a super long, you know, we don't need a super large amount of population there. And there are redistricting like criteria and laws you have to follow about how many people have to be in one district. It's like you have to have a certain proportional amount, which is why this is split specifically 30, like 1/3 each. There's 250,000 people from Memphis in each of these three districts. So they split up our 600,000 plus into 250 for each of the three.
Listen, Amber, you're a genius. I appreciate you. Question: do you studied anything about Fannie Lou Hamer?
Yeah, I love Fannie Lou Hamer. I mean, I was talking about that on election day actually, because one other thing that happened is that this is all happening during election day. So this special session started on Tuesday, election day, while I was in Memphis working the election. I've been working with my partners at my job for 6+ months to increase the voter turnout. And the next day, everybody's complaining about the voter turnout. Like, oh my God, only 16% of people voted. We increased the voter turnout by 6%. by 25,000, almost 30,000 people. But everyone's focusing on how low the turnout was. And I was talking with one of like my godfathers in movement or whatever I would say about like the slow respectful work thing and like how Fannie Lou Hamer organized over time. And that's kind of how the philosophy I use in organizing, because there's no way we can jump from a 10% voter turnout in 2024 for a county primary to 25% in 2026. It's not realistic. What is realistic is a 3% increase, and we doubled that.
Yeah.
Getting 25,000 or 30,000 people out to vote is not a small thing.
Yeah.
But also that does take time. That took us 2 years to build up to, right? We have another election in August, another election in November, now with possibly new congressional districts. So we have to double down on the work we were already doing, but still doing that same like deep organizing.
Yeah. So listen, I only asked that because I'm gonna end with my prophesy, because I was doing pastor shit already. I prophesied over your life before you got here, and then you came here. And I'm gonna prophesy over your life again. Lord, would you bow your head? So what I'm gonna do is I'm getting this from the Lord. Wait, hold on, let me see what the Lord say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I got you. All right, okay. So what I'm gonna prophesy is Fannie Lou Hamer was trying to teach us some stuff about building our own party, and she was trying to touch the limits and show us the limits of the Democrat Party. And in her story, like if you me and you probably gonna study a little bit some of her the years when she was struggling with that, and Kwame, but you are gonna lead Black people to developing a political party that literally puts them in a position to create an environment to take power and free us.
Interesting.
So you're gonna fly.
Ashe.
You're gonna test them Democrats to their limits. You're gonna be like, because even Queen Mother Moore did it. She was like, okay, Communist Party, y'all say y'all like Black people, but it don't look like y'all like Black people, and I'm gonna need y'all to like Black people. And she left, and she had to go do some other shit. So I think you're gonna be doing some powerful shit later. Oh, my bad. I'm a preacher, my bad. I code split. Not powerful shit. You're gonna do some great things.
It's so funny. I do want to say thank you for the $50 to our scene. I really appreciate it. Before we go, I know we gotta hop out. People were asking me about this last thing, so I put up the video to show it so y'all could see the protest stuff we were doing, because some people had asked about it. I'm gonna skip further into the story so you can see. Hold on. Okay, so this is during the special session. We let the House Democrats like do their little talking or whatever, and then protests started disrupting like after that.
Breaking news at 11:30, protesters make their voices heard ahead of the vote to redraw Tennessee's congressional lines. Troopers were called to remove people from the gallery. That led to this confrontation between Representative Justin Pearson, East Memphis to rural Middle Tennessee. And
this is a great example of the map that shows the current one and the proposed too, by the way, for folks who are asking. So you can see how stretched out it is compared to the other one.
The third would tie South Memphis to the Nashville suburbs. And live on the State House floor, a walkout just happened. You're taking a live look here at the action inside the House chambers. We have been told by our crew there that it appears the Democrats are walking out of the room in protest to everything that has occurred leading up to this third day of the special session. We want to get live to our crew that is there. We have Maggie Weaver live on the House floor as well, but we also have Caitlin Quisenberry. She is just outside of that House chamber. You can see the sea of protesters that she is with as they are walking out. Caitlin, what can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm standing here as those Democrats are walking out. Now you have Acton Bain right here, hyping up the crowd, all wearing white as well, talking about chanting as well as we're going through. You have whistles blowing as well. It is a chaotic energizing scene out here as well, with protesters as well, lawmakers coming.
That's Jason Powell, and he funny as hell. But I'm trying to skip through so y'all can hear the alarm. Okay, here you go.
Gathering, slowly accumulating now. A lot of people packing in this hallway outside the chambers.
Alrighty, Caitlin, we'll give you a second there to get situated. I understand how chaotic it is in these close quarters. We want to take a live look inside the House chambers as well. Now, this is just steps away from where Caitlin is. You can hear it is a lot quieter, rather, inside of the chamber here, as those who are left appear to be standing, discussing next.
It's not quiet. They're not playing the sound. But I want to show this video so you can see the state troopers at the top walking around there. They're trying to find the alarms. But there's alarms behind the TV monitors. There's alarms behind the columns. There was alarms down the grates on the side of the building. Yeah, they wasn't turning that shit off. So it was going off for quite a while, and they just had to adjourn the session because they couldn't keep going business as usual because it was so loud, which was the point. But yeah, I just want to show y'all that for folks who were asking what was actually happening. And then, body alarms, they're like these personal personal body alarm. Like if you're, a woman and you're, scared of what could happen walking in the streets, you can get a body alarm and it'll make a loud noise so that you can be like, oh, okay, back the fuck up off of me if someone tries to attack you, basically. And the reason why they're good for actions is because the body alarms have a pin in them. And when you take the pin out, it makes a noise. It doesn't stop making the noise until you put the pin back in. So they don't have any of the pins, so they can't get them to stop making noise, which is why they kept going off the entire time. I'm trying to see if I have a video of inside.
Get you, I know you might have to go, so if you want to sign off, I can stay with Amber and we can close out.
We can close up. It's fine. I know you got to go do something.
No, you can continue, Amber. It's fine. I'm here. You're also a little late, so you're on some overtime.
No, finish, Amber.
Oh, okay. Trying to find the video. Okay. Do y'all hear how loud it is?
Nah, can't hear it. Oh, no, I hear it. Yeah, it sounds like a smoke alarm.
Then somebody had a bullhorn. One of the state reps had a bullhorn on the floor. But that beeping, that continued for like 6-7 hours. I don't know if they ever got the ones that's behind the TVs and stuff. And them batteries is fresh, so they down to go for forever at this point.
I hear it now. Yeah. Google is throttling our channel. I'm subscribed to any of your videos pop up yet. I always just click straight on the channel itself. That does not surprise me at all. If it's true. But yep, this is a right-wing platform. Lots of news to cover. I'm so glad we were able to get this breakdown. Appreciate you.
Said, oh, they were placed in position. Yes. So I think that it's important, when you're doing an action, to scout the places. And I felt like the House gallery was the best place to do something like this because they have TV monitors in place that the Senate doesn't. And those monitors are on concrete blocks and they can't actually get to the monitors. They tried to get someone down there to get the alarms, but they couldn't reach them. And so that's why they're still going off, because they're behind the TV monitors. They're behind like the side of the building, like the actual room. They're like thrown behind there, under the couches, under the chairs. Like they are having a hard time finding that shit. It wasn't me who did it, but I had saw on a video that they was really struggling. They was searching high and low.
It's a prank.
Yeah. But that's what happened in Tennessee. I'm ready to go home to my dog. I'm sick of this shit.
Listen, Amber, I'm gonna send you a link in the chat and we can try to follow up a story, but I'm gonna try to find a time when Fannie Lou Hamer was experiencing some of the same thing you was experiencing and how she was trying to struggle around that within the Democratic Party and eventually trying to do this democratic freedom like thing and like, let me do these things. But this little article I sent in there, it was talking about her and some of the comrade sisters that she had when they was really trying to push the Democratic Party left, and you kind of
Yes.
see what happened with them. But
Yep. And then we got the Panthers. Gotta love that history.
You do.
Want to close us out. I did want to share again some of the amazing work we have on the platform to continue these conversations. So as
It's a lot moving.
Smashing the Two-Party System and Free Palestine TV are coming to Saturdays with Renee. So check those out. Rosa Clemente, Disrupt the Chaos, studying Afro Boricua identity is new programming coming to the platform. One of the best lectures.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, check it out. The first episode aired, actually the first two. Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win, episode 47, where Cherie delivered one of the best political education lectures I've seen on patriarchy and feminism. It was excellent. The Dialectics of Black Struggle, Femicide. Please check it out if you haven't. It's an instant classic in my mind, among some of the best we've had on the platform. Myth, Democrat, Black People Died to Vote, Revisited by Black Myths Podcast was streamed a few days ago. I think the whole crew was back together. So Ryan, Cam, Rel, and Two Black handled that one. Excellent resource. It goes through struggle historically. So all the great things we have on our platform, definitely want to plug those. While I have the opportunity, of course, want to plug Black.
And make sure y'all send us super chats.
Of course, continue to do that. I want to plug Black Men Build's YouTube channel. Please check it out. We post all of our videos after we have our sessions. So we've been doing some great work on Malcolm X, our clip Amber, and the WNBA deal made it onto the channel. And also Baba Ajamu Baraka and Margaret Kimberly joined us at our last mass call. So check out our YouTube channel. We'll upload.
I desperately need us to keep doing these.
Yes,
so
yes. It was.
I need y'all to send me super chat so I can buy books.
We also had our presentation last night, Combating Femicide. That was a special edition of our wartime. Last year we did one on ICE and the raids in LA. This time we wanted to talk explicitly about patricide, and we're doing.
I'm glad y'all did one on combating femicide because I feel like a lot of Black orgs aren't talking about it.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. We were joined by Dr. Treva Lindsay, and she was able to break it down, as well as us going over some of the work we've done and organizations that are continuing this work that we are trying to partner with and build with in the future. So check out all the amazing resources on this platform and Black Men Build. And that's my call to action. Actually, I lied. In Miami this weekend, we are doing a service day. If you want to learn how to garden, if you want to actually get your hands dirty and build with the community, we will be at Dunn's Overtown Farm in Hialeah. Not Hialeah, what am I saying? Sorry. Brain is fried right now. Dunn's Overtown Farm in Overtown. And so Dante Terre is in the chat, somebody who's involved in that work. So if you want to get into some service, feeding the people, learning the skills to feed yourself, we will be at Dunn's Overtown Farm tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's all I got.
Okay, self-determination.
Yes, yes. Amber Geechee, what you got?
Yes. So we got some shows coming up. Earn Your Liberation Sunday, and then again next Wednesday, the Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win podcast. That'll be up. And yeah, just working on some things behind the scenes to get my life.
Excited to see another EYL episode. It was the same classic energy y'all picked up with as before. So appreciate that. Amber, what you got going on? You got a lot.
I don't know. I might have plans to nigga who reads. I might not. It depends on if I'm exhausted. I'm really tired from this week, so I might end up canceling my plans. But if not, I'm gonna probably just be at home with my dog chilling. I'm probably gonna watch Saturdays with Renee, of course, but I don't have any like other plans really.
Amazing.
Oh, coolest kids you know send us $10 for books. Yay.
Appreciate that.
Because how else is Geechee gonna radicalize me?
Absolutely. And Sela Borican Libre, we do have a Black Men Build in New York, and they are based in Brooklyn. So reach out, go on their page, Black Men Build New York, send them a DM. They'd be happy to have you, and we could get some of that work popping. But that's it. We did do 20 minutes of overtime. I know you had to go, but thanks for sticking around with us.
I just only stuck around to get this type of compliment.
Oh yeah, Geechee Friday
I mean, I
remix.
think it is Geechee.
On Fridays we cooking. On Wednesday we cooking. You feel me? On Sunday I'm cooking over somewhere else, and then I might be cooking again. You know what I mean? Appreciate you.
Also, Geechee, you will be very proud of me. Yesterday, when I had to speak after the map, I wore my Gloria Richardson shirt that I got on right now, and I talked about the legacy of Gloria Richardson as one of the first, organizers to organize outside of the South. And May 6th was her birthday. So yesterday, I talked about how yesterday was her birthday, and we should be honoring that type of legacy by advancing the work that she was doing. And what's happening right now shows exactly what they did in the civil rights movement is possible. Because they did all that shit and eventually they won. So we might have to do some more shit too. But eventually we're going to win.
Yeah. May is a great month of birthdays. Karl Marx's birthday just passed, May 5th. Malcolm X's birthday coming up. So stay tuned again. Black Men Build.
Yeah, I love Gloria Richardson. I'm very obsessed with her, the organizer. Her, Dr. Polly Murray, Ella Baker, and Fannie Lou Hamer are like my top faves. But I really love the fact that they would face, straight up, white supremacy and oppression to the face and not be afraid. And I think so many times people are scared to do it to your face. They're afraid to combat white supremacy face to face, but they will post on Facebook and they will tell their friends about it, but they won't actually do it and oppose it face to face. And I really appreciate that bravery and courage because it shows what's possible for us too, and the bravery and courage that we can show.
Amber, you just proven my prophecy right. Because Gloria Richardson, she had it too. She was with them communists. She was over there at another party over there. She was, so
happy birthday, Sadiq. I actually like communism, but I can't talk about that on the internet.
Never mind, he's trolling. All right, y'all, it's time to close out. As Chairman Fred Hampton used to say, as Jared says, and as we say, peace only if you're willing to fight for it, and we'll catch you next time.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.